going back, not gonna buy into all that. Hey, ain't gonna hide, gonna let all the fears slide. Got mother nature, it's on my side. Got all of the loving growing.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new now. I'm talking once again with my good friend Campbell from Auto Didactic. I like to say it's the new now, but really this is an ongoing conversation Campbell and I have been having on consciousness and freedom and the best ways to get there and some of our experiences and what we like to share. So, generally it's been a shared show, so to speak. And, I'm happy to have Campbell here with me. A bit of a lovely surprise on both of our mornings. We're kind of in the unique perspective of him being in Australia, myself being in Japan, of being more or less only an hour apart on the same time zone. So good morning to you, Campbell. How's it going today?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me. Good for to be back to continue our chat. Yeah, I'm doing well.
So, Campbell and I have been kind of on the same page in many, many ways. We've been talking to lots of people. We've been discussing current challenges, past historical perspectives. And I would say everything, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of it has been with an overall flavor of freedom. How to be free, how to free your consciousness, how to free your awareness, how to free your life, how to free your health, how to free everything that, it needs freeing, whatever that is for you. And, I wanted to kind of take this time to talk a bit about consciousness, the consciousness trap, let's say, what allows people to move from that, what tricks people to remain there, and what it means to be free. What do you think there, Campbell?
Yeah, something I've been thinking about a lot lately is this whole thing of when people start to sort of look for options or whatever, to look outside the system, if you will. I think one of the main problems is that when most people do that, they are looking from the box. So they are making that they're trying to look outside the system from the parameters that are the system, if you know what I mean. So if they're trying, they're actually still attached. It's like when you've got 1 foot, you don't really want to, you keep 1 foot in one place, so you don't quite take the step because just in case, right? It's kind of like that, but it's much more that, we're so programmed with all this stuff, blah, 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 that when we look out for change, for what could be, so many people look out from the perspective of where they are. And if you're doing that, you can really only go to where you are. It may look different, it might be a different environment, but it will be the same energetic space because that's all you're projecting. So I think, the big thing here, and this is happening, obviously, look around, right? The world's in free fall. We've really got to get to this point where we understand that the problem is the system. And this is the thing. The system is mum and dad. And like we're the children. And this is completely it, is people find it scary because the system, supposedly, it gives up this facade that it will look after you. That if you stay in the system, you'll have a house and food and all this kind of stuff and a job. But really, have a look at the system, guys. The system creates poverty. It creates, poor people. It creates death, war, the whole lot. It actually is the problem. And so this is the main thing we need to get over, is making this disconnect. And I understand it. This is all we've known, is the system. This is where we've been raised, and it's what we've been told is the truth. And we've been told, if you think something, different, you're wrong, you weirdo. But we need to be weirdos now, guys, 100%. because the system is just shackles. It's just holding us back. And we need to realize that, and step out sideways on a different path and take a different trajectory, basically.
I mean, even Albert Einstein, I'm not sure if he was a real genius or not. I've heard all kinds of stories, one way or the other, but one of the quotes that was attributed to him was, you can't fix a problem from the level that made the problem. You can't, and I like what Campbell said about your parents being the problem. And I don't mean directly that, they're bad people or good people. I mean, everyone has parents that have been loving in many ways and probably challenged in many ways, and they inherited their challenges. And they only taught us what they knew, and maybe their parents taught them what they knew. And I'm going to be working with a new lady, Janice Barcelo from Birth of a New Earth, a very intelligent lady. She's working towards conscious birthing, a conscious birthing modality for parents, home birthing, natural birthing.
Oh,
And
yep.
her way of looking at it, which, I agree with it in some ways, is, we're brought into this world with great trauma from the very beginning. Whether your mother, let's say, had a doctor-induced birth, a lot of C-sections, a lot of babies when they're first brought in are given chemicals right away and vaccines and taken away from the mother. And, she told me something that was very interesting was, and this really stuck with me, although obviously I don't remember it for myself, that supposedly when a baby is born, the umbilical cord, the doctors cut it and tie it and whatever immediately, which according to her is a shock to the baby from the beginning, because if you leave the baby on the mother's stomach after a time period, the umbilical cord itself will just stop functioning. She says it turns from the bright purple color down to gray to tell you that the time is done. So even right from the very beginning, we're ripped from, the love of our mother before we're ready, and that gives us an internal trauma, which, anybody that's gone through the school system or had a regular childhood, and by regular, I'll put my fingers in the air, meaning you've been probably traumatized in one way or many, whether it's a TV that shows you should be eating sugar when you're little, like when I was small, or friends that pass along their inanities or limitations to you from a school system that's obviously not built for a child. No child wants to sit, in a classroom behind a desk 10 hours a day looking out at the sunshine and I remember looking out the window and getting into all kinds of trouble just at the time when you're kind of shackled to a bench, and that's got to give you some sort of internal trauma. And what I found because of all of this in relation to what Campbell just said is we have to see how we are the system. How our thoughts and our processes and our beliefs and our ideas and our day-to-day actions, and the rewards, as he mentioned as well, about, getting a job and getting so-called security and being told it's okay to maybe work 5 days a week, and then for the next 2 days you can be a child and you can go out and get as drunk as you want, or as stupid as you want, or eat as much as you want, or go on vacation once a year to indulge as much as you want, as long as you listen to the system and you pay to the system. And it doesn't matter if the system, as far as governments are starting wars in other parts of the world or making poverty so that you can have extra. It really, from what I've seen, comes down to personal responsibility in relation to what you're creating, in relation to what you can and cannot be doing. And I would put that in relation to what you feel is possible for yourself, is what you believe you should and should not be doing.
Definitely. And that's where the system comes in, isn't it? It restricts that. Look around, we know the story. You walk out to your friends and you say, got the best idea. I've just had this idea. I'm going to start a new business. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to make money. I'm going to be free. What happens? Do they all sit around and congratulate you and go, yeah, we'll be there. We'll support you? No, they laugh at you and they say, don't be stupid. Don't leave your job. You've got security. What if it goes wrong? And what if it does go wrong, guys? I would say, look around. It's kind of going wrong in the system now. And this is the thing, all these people, they're shackled to it. And what it is they're too scared to move, and they are projecting their fear onto you. And this is the whole communal thing, right? Safety in numbers. And people who have bought the story and believe it and are buying into the fear, they know that they're scared. They know that they're the problem. That's why they want to surround themselves with other people who think like them. So then they can pretend that it's not really a problem. This is how everyone thinks, right? No, it's not that I can't be stuffed getting off my butt and doing something. I'd rather, just feel, safe with these people around me, because safety in numbers, and it feels nice. And I think this is a major problem. Obviously, TV, a lot of people, it's got them into the habit of sitting on their butt and watching other people do things. Now, nothing happens, guys. I think it's another actually attributed to Einstein. Again, don't know who he was, if he existed, but another quote is, nothing happens until something moves. And this is obviously a science quote talking about atoms, like literally nothing happens until something moves. Now, same with us guys, nothing happens until you move. Now, if you're just going to move down the same line, things will happen, but they'll just be the same thing. It's like this, the law of attraction, right? Everyone's like, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Yeah, it does. Things are always changing. But if your thoughts aren't changing, they're just changing to the same thing over and over and over again. So it doesn't look like anything's changing. So we just need to have a bit of, faith, maybe a bit of trust in ourselves, understand that we're the power, that we can make the change and step out. It's like Rumi said, when you step out on the way appears, and you need to sort of, trust for that, just for that step.
It's true.
And just go for it. Put yourself out there and see where you land. Because what's the worst that can happen, guys?
I mean, I found for myself, and I have to say, I put myself in there. I've been afraid. I'm afraid every day. So I'm going to say to everybody, I'm afraid for my money. I've been afraid for my health. I've been afraid for tomorrow. I've been afraid, for the country I used to live in, Canada, because it's gotten crazy. When I'm in a different country, I'm living in Japan. I'm afraid I don't understand the language. I'm afraid, people aren't going to believe me or see me. And I think everyone has a natural proclivity to have these things in front of them that they need to be challenged with and to get over. What I would think I'm really trying to say is, like, people now are saying, oh my goodness, it's horrible. Let's go back to the way it was 4 years ago. And a lot of people that don't like, the system are going, oh my goodness, it was better when, I had 10 choices instead of 2 choices, or I was making 100,000 instead of now I'm only making 10,000, or I could travel to all the countries. Now I can't go to any country. So at least I had some liberties or given permissions, and now all those are gone. So I want to go back and have all of these other permissions, and then it'll be okay. But, because more is taken away. But, if you use a bit of intelligence, and it's something I want to give kudos to Campbell again for, he was one of the first people that kind of brought to my attention the difference in historical perspectives that have helped me to get to where I am today, by noticing that our history is wrong, what we used to have is wrong, where we come from is wrong, who we are is wrong, what the cities we live in, like all of it has probably been made up for the last several hundred years. And imagine, I was doing some other studies, like imagine before, I used to have a whole neighborhood to play in. Okay, so now kids have less. Before that, maybe kids had a whole farm to play in. Maybe before that, 100 years, they had a whole forest to play in, a small forest. And maybe before that, they had a big forest to play in. And I'm sure every generation got down to the next generation, saw things become more limited, and were fighting to get back to where they were. But it's been a progressive movement, I would say, from the people that are running the system. I like to call them the ankle biters, not the over schmoes, because really, they're the lowest of the low, and tricking you into being the slave that you are. Have, maybe they live longer than us. I'm going to go a little outside of the box. Maybe the people that have been watching and running the system live for 1,000 years. Maybe they're not human. Maybe they are, maybe they have a better system where they've been watching this strategy for a long, long time. And it's the whole boiling frog syndrome, slowly turning up the heat and slowly guiding you towards a different cage. And, the limitation being right away is that your imagination, in my opinion, is what is being wrung out of you, slowly drip dry towards your ideas that now people that have, 10 of their liberties taken away can only imagine getting them back, or being able to travel without a mask. And, oh my goodness, I just want to travel with a mask and everything's okay. Or, oh my goodness, don't give me a vaccine and my life is okay. Or, oh my goodness, my pension, where'd my pension go? Bring back my pension. If only we had nicer politicians, right? I get these emails all the time due to the nature of the new Agora website that we do. People go, I've got great news. We're going to go back to democracy. We're going to make sure the politicians are coming back. It was in Australia, I think, even I've got some sort of movement recently about people that want to go back to democracy and voting in new rulers. And, right away, therein lies the challenge. Because if you think someone can do better than you for you running your life, automatically you've put yourself in a situation where someone can take advantage of you.
Mm.
And I'm not saying people have better ideas. Some people know how to grow bananas better. Some people know how to fix cars better. Some people know how to, look after children better, because of course we all have skills that other people may not have. But as far as you and your life goes, well, nobody knows better for you than what you do. And if that's not the case, wouldn't that be your first, I guess, intent for exploring what it is that you need to do and what you should do better? I mean, it's hard kind of to talk about this in some ways, isn't it, Campbell, when really you're getting down to a conscious level of what's going on inside people.
Yeah, I mean, it's that word, isn't it? I guess, belief, the word that we don't really like to use too much. Obviously, it's better to have strong perspectives and beliefs, because beliefs don't change. Belief system, when you have a belief, you will change the things around to keep that belief. And that's the problem. So a perspective is the opposite. You'll take the information around you, and that can change your perspective and give you, better perspective. And so it all comes, this thing about pride, right? And ego, and I'm right and you're wrong. And we're seeing this at the moment, just in ridiculousness, all these people and this, gaslighting, and people, people just want to see the problem. And this is the problem. We've been, the system is negative. It wants you to focus on the problem. Just look at what's going on now. Okay. Not once have I ever heard anyone come out and say, things like good food, exercise, sunshine, these are how we can get over it. And this is how everything is fear, get this or else, wear this or else, blah, blah, blah. It's all fear, 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 fear. This is how this system is. And so a lot of people take that on, and all they can see is problems. Now, we have a thing in our brain called the reticular activating system, and it will always make you right. It will point out whatever you believe to you. So if you're looking for problems, you'll see problems. It will show them to you, and then you'll be right. You'll go, yes, I'm right. Look, problems everywhere. I'm right. And these people, and it's a downward spiral, because, like I said, you prove yourself right, and then you look for more. Yes, I'm right again, and then suddenly you're this hater who's running around, and everyone else is a problem. You can't look at yourself. Everyone else is a problem. And this is where, this is really where we fall down, where so many people fall down, is they can't look at themselves. They can't say, I'm the problem. Maybe I need to change. Maybe it's not the world outside there. Hang on. Maybe I create the world outside there. Maybe I'm drawing this stuff towards me with my thoughts. This is a step that we need to take, is understand that we are the creators. And this whole thing about the system is, everyone's like you said, oh, the system's bad, politicians, rah, 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 rah. The system's just an idea. That's just an idea. It only works when we believe that idea, we follow it, and we fall into line, and we go, yeah, we're for the system. If we didn't do that, there'd be no system. And as far as people waiting for the savior, waiting for somebody to come and save them, have a look around, guys. Have a look at your options of who's going to come and save you. Who do you want it to be? Do you want it to be Klaus Schwab from the World Economic Forum with his economic great reset? You will own nothing, but you will be happy. How about him? Who would you like it to be? Would you like it to be Jojo, the most popular president in all of universal history, and he can't remember what he did yesterday? I mean, if you look at this is our choices.
I mean, I think from what I've seen, it's your thinking. I'm only going to talk about myself because, I'm no expert. I really had to realize how stupid I was, what a fool I've been, and how compromised my own thought system was, to see what I was bringing to myself, as Campbell said, on a daily basis, what I was afraid. I was, what you're afraid of, you face and you bring to yourself, but it's not a bad thing. I think you bring it to yourself so that you can get over it. Right? If you have a fear for money, then you'll have no money, but then that will be something you get to face to get over, right? If you have a fear of not being in a relationship, maybe you won't be in a relationship for a long time, and then you'll have to get over that maybe to get into a relationship. If you have a fear of not being in shape or not having enough food, take your pick. There's a million things, and nobody can come, as Campbell said, no one can change your thought process. I mean, you made your thought process. You might have been encouraged, might have been inculcated. You might have had the strap when you were a little boy or a little girl. You might have grown up in a war-torn country. I mean, everyone's had their challenges when they were young, but no matter, or I would say regardless, you developed your own thought process because no one can do it for you. And by that token, and this is the beauty of all of this. I mean, some people will look at us and go, "Oh my goodness, I can't do that." But the funny thing is Campbell and I are chatting about a way that you can make yourself free, and it doesn't cost any money. It doesn't cost a penny. You don't have to leave your room to start. You don't have to ask anyone's permission. You don't got to do nothing. But except maybe admit that you've been wrong. And therein lies the problem or the challenge. I put up a video recently, which hasn't been as popular as some of my other videos, that even a fool can be free, I called it, right? And it's funny that, I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about being a fool. I'm talking about how, I'm getting over my own challenges. And so many people go, "Oh, what do you mean by that?" "Oh my goodness, what do you mean a fool can be free?" Like, if you're afraid to feel foolish, you certainly can't succeed on a path of becoming new, since obviously you're going to make mistakes. Obviously you're going to fall down. Obviously you're going to hurt yourself, and obviously you can get up again and get strong. What do you think there, Campbell?
Well, what is freedom, right? I mean, we all know of these, celebrities, singers and actors, and these people who make all this money and supposedly have these great lifestyles and all the stuff, and everyone wants to just be like them. But I think, especially in the last, 12, 14 months, we've found out that these people are not free at all. They do what they're told, and if they don't, they lose it all. They are more trapped than we are, and so there's this whole, paradigm, this whole sort of story of wealth is freedom, right? Wealth is freedom. The more money you have, the more freedom you have. Well, the thing about that is, are you trading today for tomorrow? Are you spending today working to get the money so that tomorrow you won't have to work? And this is the whole paradigm, right? They've got us doing things we don't want to do with the promise that if we do that tomorrow, we won't have to do it. What? I mean, when you think about these, when you just take time, like you said, Lorenzo, when you just take time to think about it, just spend time with yourself and just think about the world. Think about how things work, and it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. None of it does. And this is what we've got to get over, is we've got to grow up. Goodbye nanny state. Goodbye mummy and daddy politicians. They don't know better than us. They don't. Look what they've achieved. We've given them power, and look what they've done to the earth. Look what they've done to its people. They are destroying things.
And then they blame you. I mean,
and then they blame us.
Look at the stupid game. I mean, if you look at these people, I mean, it's so horrific. If I believed in hanging people and flaying them alive, I would, some of them certainly deserve it. I mean, I'm not the kind of man that's going to do that to someone, because I know, you'll gain that kind of karma on yourself. But look at what they do. They pollute the world, and then they say you're polluting the world. They make oil and gas the number one thing, when there's obviously been gazillions of alternatives, as Campbell's channel has shown, and dozens of others I've seen, for healthy, clean, energetic, abundant ways to be alive. There's nothing but, you have to work your ass off every day to have a limitation. We're actually naturally abundant people. I mean, plant an apple tree. There's more apples than you can eat. Grow a tomato plant. If you do it well, there's 1 million tomatoes. You have to give them to your neighbors. I remember growing up having a plum tree in our backyard, and when fall came and all the plums were ready, I'm going, "Oh my goodness, 8 huge garbage bags full of plums. We better give them away before they get back." That's nature. That's one plum tree, one small backyard, a whole neighborhood of people. This limitation is stuff that is obviously the unnatural way to do things. And then to blame you, to have the gall to say, okay, it's your carbon that's the mistake. It's your plastic bags that are in error. It's your recycling that's the problem. It's the fact you're having too many children, or whatever, or there's not enough land. I mean, I recall a while ago, and I'll mention this because Campbell lives in Australia, that if they gave an acre of land to every man, woman, and child alive, it wouldn't even fill up Australia. And the rest of the earth would be empty. Wouldn't even fill up Australia. Everyone could have an acre. And on an acre, you can grow more than enough for a family of 8 probably, and be happy and healthy. So that's one, it's not a small continent, I guess. I'm not even sure. From what I've seen, Australia may not even be a continent on the map. Who knows? I've seen all kinds of other maps and interesting ways that the land is put. And supposedly a couple hundred years ago, we had 10 times the land they say we have now. And and who knows what's going on in the Antarctic that they don't let people go to. I mean, just look around, see what you're not allowed to see. Maybe just understand there's way more to explore. Things are way more interesting than they've told us. There's way more. Why do we use 8% of our brain, or why do we only see 6% of the light? Why when you think about things, all you think about is the 6 things you can do on the weekend to relax and have fun? And what about your imagination? What about the art? What about the creativity that could come out of you? What about what you thought when you were little? For me, I've been starting to sit back to when I was a little boy, when I was 5 or 6, what did I imagine? I think meditation, in a way, not the meditation like, hit a gong, put on some yoga pants and you're going to be okay. But I mean, meditation to take yourself back to how you used to think, how you used to dream, what you used to imagine. Again, then you don't need anybody. I mean, take yourself back to when you were 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever, and what you used to wish for your life. I mean, to me, that's blowing my socks off quite literally when, I would dream of flying, or I would dream of living in beautiful gardens, or I would, dream of traveling to the stars when I'd look up in the sky at night. I never dreamed of, sitting in a stock portfolio and saving some money that, try going up a mountain. Like one day, Cambell, I was taken on a long walk up a mountain. I remember I was tricked to take this walk when I was in Mexico by a fellow that didn't speak English, and I didn't speak Spanish at the time. And a friend I was with spoke French, and he spoke French, and we had traveled for 3 days into the middle of Mexico. And he said, let's go. I want to show you the mountaintop. Okay. His name was Vicente. He wanted to show me a live volcano. And I couldn't sleep. And I said, sure, let's go for a walk. And he took me on an adventure. And this was right after I had left my cozy life, being a businessman, let's say in Toronto. And, I almost died 8 times that night. We were chased by bulls and taken over fences. And he took me up to this, and I couldn't talk to him because we didn't speak the same language. And I had no choice but to follow him through the night in the mountains of Mexico, thinking I was going to be dead in the next moment. Didn't matter how much money, like I had my traveler's checks in my pocket at that time, and I had a few $1,000s in cash because I had just cashed in whatever to go traveling, and I had my whatever, and none of it would have done me any good. I learned really quickly that night that, oh my goodness, I don't know anything. I don't know nature. I don't know how to walk by the stars. I speak one limited language. I used to think English was everything till I realized, whatever, it's only one language, and a limited one at that. And, I had no choice but to be humble, follow him, and be grateful that I finally made it back home 8 or 9 hours later and alive. And it showed me, whether it's digital currency or cryptocurrency or gold or promises or whatever, K401 or whatever they call these retirement things in different countries, they're worthless. Without you being strong in your own energy, like Cambell said, you work your whole life to save some money, and then you get to be 50, 60, whatever, and you have no health anymore. So what are you doing? You got to pay someone to wipe your ass for you or something, or to go to the store and shop for you, to push you around so you get some fresh air. And if that stops, well, if you think the politicians are coming to take you for a walk or to buy you a hamburger, good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, just remember, go and talk to a child.
Go and talk to a child.
Ask them what they want to be when they grow up. You will not get an answer like, I want to be a banker or a stockbroker or anything. They live in their imagination. And that word, right? Magic nation. It's the magic nation, your imagination, your creativity. And this is what they sever. And it's like with the umbilical cord. It's almost like it's a ceremony, right?
It is.
To sever us from the natural process, to cut us off from nature. And like you said, I mean, physically that actually does. It stops us getting the top up that we need of everything before we sort of go on our own physically. So coming into this world, we're missing something. But children, I mean, I remember when I was a child, you could do anything. I actually thought I was the $6 million man. And literally, my parents were scared because I'd climb trees and jump out of them. I'd get on the roof and jump off it because I literally just thought I'm the, and I never hurt never hurt myself. Because guess what? I was the $6 million man. I didn't think I was him. I was him. And this is what kids do. This is imagination. And this is what gets cut off. And when that gets cut off and people start giving you their opinions and you take them on, what they're doing is they're taking your personal power away from you. They're taking away that thing that makes you believe that you can do anything. Because all kids believe they can do anything, until they're taught otherwise.
Never broken a bone, any of the, I hear you. I used to disappear from the house as soon as I could in the morning and not come back till the sun went down at night.
Yep.
On my bike, no helmets. I remember riding my bike as fast as I could with no helmet, turned a corner, hit a parked car, flew over it, landed on the other side, brushed myself off, got back on my bike and kept going,
All the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I was watching, it was really funny what Campbell said. I remember I was in a park once and I saw a young boy who was about 4 with his mother who was with another baby. And he was on one of those big tire swings. And he was swinging like this back and forth and going up on one foot and going this and going around in circles and screaming at the top of his lungs and looked super dangerous. And he was having a blast. Nothing wrong. When his mother turned around and said, "Watch out, it's dangerous," then he flew off. Literally. Yeah, literally at that second, she put her dream onto his and said that's dangerous. And then it was. But before that, he was the $6 million man, as Campbell said.
Yeah.
And
just look at a kid when they fall over, like a little, sort of 1-2-year-old, they'll walk around and they'll fall over. Yeah. When they do, they look at mummy or daddy, whoever's there. They look at it for the reaction. Now, if mummy or daddy laughs and goes, "Oh, yeah, yes, get up," then the kid goes, "Oh, okay." If mummy and daddy goes, "Oh, are you okay?" Kid starts to cry.
Every time.
Every time. This is where it starts. People putting their wills and their emotions on us and telling us that their version of the world is correct and not yours. And this is where, and this is the thing. And we've really, parents, come on, we've got to think more. We can't be doing this. We can't be dragging the past up and throwing it on the future, because that's what we're doing when we put these limitations on our children, and it needs to stop. It's not "Oh, I'm sorry, child, they'll destroy." Stop it. If you're a parent, you need to think. And if you're not thinking, you shouldn't have had kids. I don't want to be harsh, but seriously, being a parent is not something that you do because you can biologically do it. And this whole thing about, the youth running around and, the deal, promiscuity and all this. This is obviously being taught through music, rap music, movies, the whole lot, drugs. And what's it creating? It's just creating more and more people with more and more limitations. Because the thing about the past, guys, is it's a teacher, not a prophet. It's just there to teach us. It's not there to tell us what the future is. And as far as our parents, so many people are like, "Oh, but my parents, but my childhood." Yeah, but nothing. I mean, if I told you what happened in my childhood and what happened to me, you would say that, and Lorenzo too, we've all had horrendous things happen to us. Everyone has. Okay. You're not the only victim. And guess what? The reason that happened is because the same thing happened to your parents and to their grandparents. So who are you going to blame? How far do you want to go down the tree? What are you going to do? Go back to Adam? You're the problem, Adam. Just get over yourself, guys, because you can sit there and blame and wallow in pity as much as you want. But I'll guarantee you one thing. If you do that, you'll be doing the exact same thing tomorrow. Nothing will change ever. If you want to change, if you really want freedom, it's not a airy fairy. "Oh yeah, I'm a hippie. I just painted a flower on the wall. It's all," that's crap, guys. This is you just need to take time by yourself and really start to think, what is this place? What am I doing here? Who am I? What's it all about? What do I stand for? What will I accept? What won't I accept? These are the questions we need to start asking and getting truthful answers for ourselves out of them.
I mean, if you have kids, remember a couple of things I found is, one, they'll grow up one day and they'll know how sneaky you've been. They'll know if you've been tricky. They'll go, "Oh, they won't remember." I remember everything. I remember everything down to being pushed in a crib when I was 1 or 2. I remember, telling the teacher when I was in kindergarten, when she asked, "How do we put jelly beans on the cookies and eat them?" I remember saying tape. I remember, so I remember when, I've had talks with my father recently about how he was, not so nice or not so strong. You give me some examples, gave me other examples that were nice. You know, there's a lady that I've known for a while that she used to work with us, and she's taken time off because she recently had a young boy. I won't mention her name because she said she wants to keep this to herself. And she said she realizes that she's had a child to teach her how to be free, not to put her limitations on them, you know, because he's come down as you know, they're not clean slates to be filled up with your garbage. You know, they're not to be molded into whatever inanities you've got molded into. You know, they've come from source, or they've come from God, if you like, or they've come from the everything, which means they don't have this shit covered ideas about life or limitations that everyone gets by being here for however long we've been here. So if you watch them, you know, they're there to teach you. It's not the other way around. Sure, you should keep them safe, and you should make sure they're well fed, and, you know, keep the monsters away if there are monsters in your neighborhood or society, and help them out. But it's the opposite. You know, as Campbell said, if you have them, they're there to teach you. You know, you should need, you know, to have no patience to hold them back, to put, you know, any sort of limitations on them. It will come back to haunt you one day, because one day, you know, you're going to need the kind of help that they need now, and you do eventually in life get what you give. You know, I found, I really have in this day and age. And, you know, we talked about, if we want to circle back a bit, Campbell, about consciousness and being free and growing up, and how do you get there? And it's a tricky situation, especially if you spent your whole life in a cage or with an idea or a system. But I guess most people have children, or most people, or a lot of people that are listening to us now will have young children. So that could be one way to start to grow a new perspective for yourself if you happen to have children. Watch them, listen to them, get their opinion, see what they have to say about life. Don't tell them, you know, allow. Maybe there's something there. There's got to be a reason they decided. I found, and I read from an old spiritual teacher, we choose our parents before we come here. We choose them for their limitations and the opposite for their freedom, so we can learn through those challenges how to be free and strong. Because I think everyone really comes here to be free and strong, in my opinion. And from that, if you're a parent, maybe there's something there for both of you, for them to help you, and for you to help them. That would be my opinion anyways.
Yeah, children are closer to source. You know, if you've forgotten what it was like, you know, if you can't remember what it was like when you were that young, go and find a child, talk to your children, your grandchildren, your nephews, nieces, whatever, because they know. They will always know until it's beaten out of them. And, you know, we're told this, guys, right? Blessed are the children. You know, they are the future. We know they're the future, so we should definitely be listening to them. And it's this whole concept of everything is physical. Everything's physical. So you know, they're just a random being. They don't know anything. They have to be taught everything about society and the world. That's crap. Everything is energetic. You know, we are eternal. Death doesn't exist. It's just a lie. So these are beings that have had other experiences, just like you have, and they may be sent here to teach you something. As far as parents as well, I'll just say that, you know, most of us, you know, I don't think any of us have had perfect parents. You know, obviously some have had worse than others, but you can learn how to be a good person from what people do, whether it be good or bad. You know, people can teach you how not to live. You know, if something's going and someone's doing the wrong thing and you recognize that, well, that's good. You've just learned how not to live, so you don't follow them. That's the lesson. So the lesson, you know, it's not always, you know, follow people. It's only if they're doing the right thing. So, you know, our parents, I believe we choose our parents for lessons, you know, and that may not be apparent while we're growing up. But as Steve Jobs said, you know, you can't see the road going forward. You can only see it looking back, you know, how things sort of lined up to get you where you are. But I mean, in the end, it's really all about getting back to that place, you know, of expansiveness, of creativity, where we're the power, where we get to choose. Because, I mean, just think about it, guys. We're down here on Earth to learn lessons, and it's our Earth. But these people, there's a small group of people who have decided that they get to make the rules. Did you give them permission, guys? I mean, who gave them permission? I didn't give them permission, that's for sure. People say, oh, but you might have voted, you know, and if you vote, well, maybe you did, but We all know they lie. They say they'll do this and they never do. So who are these people? Why would we even listen to them? Why are we giving them any power at all? Because everything is an offer and an acceptance. And they're just offering stuff. They're offering, oh, you can wear a face muzzle if you want. Oh, yeah, you could wear, would you like this shoved into your arm? Yeah, it's just, we can say no, guys.
We can say
like
no.
Literally, all 8 billion of us can go, no.
Nope.
And then where would they be? What power would they have? You know, this is a whole thing. It's like blame. We have to, and it's like you said before, you know, some people want to hang them and strip them, you know, hang, draw, and quarter them. You know, but then you become them. If we just ignore them, this is the thing, guys. Everyone wants to, they're the enemy. I want to hate on them. You know, you're giving them energy. You're making them powerful. If we just all ignore them, what power have they got?
Or kill them all. I don't like to say that, but probably. You know, I mean, it's not something I feel like doing, but I do think why they're controlling people is they have a willingness to use force. You know, I watch what's going on in Canada. I watch what's going on in Australia, other parts of the world, and you know they call it police or they call it, you know, whatever the hell they want to call these people, but they do have a willingness to use force in a way that we don't. I mean, I think it's to go one way or the other personally. Like, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here. You know, I'm not willing to do that because I don't think it's worth it. You know, I don't want the karmic feeling on my body for doing that. But I would say go one way or the other. I mean, if you want to be a man and stand up and you're complaining and yelling, then, you know, maybe go the way older men used to. Let's say, you know, pick up the sword, become a Viking, make sure your family's looked after. If you want to go the way, you know, Campbell and I are talking, start your own community and ignore them completely. I think either solution would definitely bring society to a better place than it is sitting in this middle and complaining about it and looking for, like you said, permission, you know, to change them or permission to leave them, right? Either go change them, you know, however you feel that's required for you, you know, maybe just, you know, maybe you don't have to kill them. Maybe just, you know, put a ball in their mouth and tie it up and don't untie it for 10 years. I don't know. Or as you said, if everyone stops listening, go do something else. And then you have your answer there as well. I mean, you know, it's, you have the two ways or the two wings, let's say, of freedom, you know, do more or do less, I think.
Yeah.
In relation to I mean, there's always a solution, right? Like the laws and the rules. I mean, if you eat animals, which I do, you know, my body right now requires meat. Even if you eat broccoli, you're killing a plant, in my opinion. You know, these vegans and vegetarians, you know, I talk to plants all the time. You know, unless you're just eating fruits and nuts, which the trees are given, I think you're always killing consciousness to eat. It seems to be the dream we're in this crazy plane right now. What I'm really getting at is, I don't think there's any, in relation to your own personal freedom, your action should be whatever you feel is right. And I don't believe in doing violence on someone, but if someone is limiting your freedom, you have a right to stop them from doing that.
Definitely.
Or else, what are you? You're an animal in a cage, right? So if someone's limiting your freedom, you do have a right, in my opinion, to not allow that to happen. You know, however you see fit to make that happen or not. You know, or go the other way.
Definitely. And if you're looking after people, you have more than a right. So what I was talking about, you know, if everyone en masse, and of course, it doesn't look like this is going to happen, but if everyone en masse went to the streets, you know, if they said, oh, look, there's a lockdown, and everyone walked out their door and said, where's the lockdown? We're not going inside. Of course, it wouldn't work. But like you say, these people don't give up. Not everyone's on the street. The main thing is, I mentioned it before, we need to know who we are ethically, what we stand for. Because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? And this is this big thing about fear and about, you know, the V word and all this kind of stuff is it's making people scared about something they can't react to. Okay, there's no fight or flight, right? From the beer bug, there's no fight or flight. And that's the problem. That causes stress because you can't get rid of anything. It causes, you know, look around, you know, it causes people to get into these states. When you can fight or flight is when someone knocks on your door and says, oh, I'm coming in and I'm going to shove this in your arm. Then never back down. If that ends in that person making the decision that they will jeopardize their own life to keep pushing their agenda, well, that's their decision. That's not your decision. You didn't go to their door. Okay, that's their decision. This is when we can fight or flight. And that's exactly what you should do. If you're at your front door, it should be fight, guys. Here no further. And this is what's going to have to happen, because we've spent so long bending over and acquiescing to all this BS that now we're in a place that we have to stand up. And we do, because these guys, I mean, these people, let's not mince words. They're evil guys. They are evil. Their agenda is to destroy nature, and you are nature. You know, that they're against evil, right? The reverse of live. That's what they are. So yeah, definitely when it's fight or flight, never back down, because if we back down against our ethics, then what are we? You know, if you seriously, if you believe this and this and this and this, and then someone threatens you and suddenly that goes out the window,
so
what are you? What are you?
A coward, basically.
A coward. What do you stand for?
You know, so you can live.
And this whole thing, you know, we're not supposed to call people names like that anymore, are we? We're not even supposed to laugh at people and say, that was stupid. What did you do that for, you idiot? When they make dumb things and dumb mistakes, and, you know, when they make dumb decisions. You know, it's all about, oh, no, don't make them feel bad. Yeah, well, what if we learn to be better and we get over it and we stop making stupid mistakes? If people go, stop making stupid mistakes. You know, if everything you do is right and it can't be wrong, you're just going to keep doing the wrong stuff.
It goes back to knowing you can be a fool. You can fall down, and you have to realize you've made a mistake. You know, you don't get better without mistakes. You don't grow up without mistakes. You know, I've often wondered what really is going on in this plane, this crazy planet. You know, from the histories that have been changed for the last few hundred years to now. I mean, this could be a whole other topic I'd like to talk about with Cambell at some point. But, you know, the voices inside to the voices outside, to who's actually running this crazy world, to where they're getting their energy to do it, what money means, what all of this. I mean, I in my opinion, it's all BS from top to bottom, from the time you're born. You know, I think you're an imagination machine, or an imagination of awareness, and that means anything you say it does. And the fact that most people bring that to a very limited point, like, I imagine more money. I imagine I'm sexier, right? I imagine I'll live an extra 10 years, right? I imagine I'll have more hair, or my boobies will be bigger. You know, I'll imagine I'm taller. I'll imagine I'm skinnier, whatever it is. I mean, it just shows you how compromised our imaginations have become. When you can imagine, maybe you're a bird, you can imagine you're living in paradise, you can imagine you live in, I don't know, you know, it's really up to you what you can imagine. I used to imagine, and I still do, all kinds of crazy things. You know, when I'm left alone, sitting and feeling. I remember my dreams at night. I bring them back to my daytime. Let your dreams talk to you. I would think that's another way of increasing your imagination. Maybe they'll tell you something that you're not allowing in during the day. You know, who knows what that is? I've had all kinds of crazy dreams, chased by monsters, loved by strange beings, you know, from both sides to the middle. And I'm always wondering what that means. I'm always trying to figure out, you know, maybe it's just your consciousness regurgitating garbage from your life. So you've got to look at it, which is fine. And maybe some nights there's something else going on. You know, why do we have sleep? I mean, people don't look at that. Is it just to recover your body? Come on. You know, why do you breathe? Is it just to get oxygen in your body and carbon dioxide out? Come on. You know, the energetic magic beauty that's in our lives. I mean, even if you believe their system that it's about exchanging gases, well, then you can look at a mask and go, well, what the fuck, right? From there. And if it's more, from what I've seen and feel, is an energetic inhalation of all that is inspiration, letting spirit in, taking in energy, taking in prana, taking in whatever you need to take in, like limiting that. Oh my goodness. And then there's people that tell you you have to limit that. I mean, right there, why are you listening? You know, do a bit of research, you know, and you'll figure out that you're being lied to. And if you realize one lie, then the rest fall into place pretty easily. And I happen to feel that the monsters or powers that be realize this, and maybe that's why they're not breaking your doors down. Maybe that's why they're not, you know, standing around the corner with cops grabbing you and jabbing your arm. Maybe that's why they spend so much energy, time, effort, nonstop propaganda to tell you what you have to do, because maybe you are that free. Maybe you have to give up your powers. You know, maybe they're not allowed to grab you and do these things to you. You know, maybe they're not allowed to bomb nature and take it away, or drop nuclear bombs, which may or may not actually exist from some of the other studies I've done. All of these things, I happen to think it's all bull from top to bottom. Our history in Japan, I've seen history in Australia. Of course, they've got, criminals over. Come on, the history from Canada, which, they find burial mounds of giants all over the place, which they never tell you about, going way back into, from the history of the Antarctic. Come on, what's going on there? I mean, that alone should tell you something funny's going on when there's a whole place that no one is allowed to look at.
Yeah, it's all offer and acceptance, right?
All offer.
They offer. Are you going to accept it? Of course, they don't. They don't package it as just, here's an offer. Are you going to accept it? They sort of do it a bit more forcefully. You have to do this, and they shove the fear in there. But really, we don't. And their biggest tool, apart from fear, is how they spread the fear, right? Media, who is, of course, the goddess of illusion from the ancient world. So the media, that's all they're doing is trying to get you to believe a story. Because why? Why would they do that? Because we're the power guys.
Why would they do that?
We are the power. Whatever we think, we create. They don't have that power. And when I say they, I'm talking, they're different to us. They are the parasites. They can't create. They are not creative. They can't use energy to create the world.
No.
They can use us, so they can manipulate us. They can tell us a story, and if we all believe it and we all think it, it becomes reality. And they get to change the world through us. So it's this whole thing of, what do you believe? What do you, put your faith in, and all this kind of stuff, when it should be get more information and get a perspective. Throw your belief and your faith out the window and start thinking for yourself. I mean, all this stuff about if you don't follow us, you'll burn in hell for eternity. Really?
Really?
What proof have you got of that? What proof do you have that that's just not a made-up story to keep you doing what someone wants you to do? And this is the thing. It's all stories, guys, all stories. And we get to, to choose to believe or to not believe. We could say, yeah, that's true, or that's crap. Or we can even say, I want to give my power to that. And I don't want to give my power to that. I want to energetically make that come true instead of that. Because that's literally what we're doing when we make decisions.
I mean, if you look at it, they used to tell you to be afraid of a God that's going to have you burn in hell. And then people stop believing it. And then why is, I'm not a Christian, but why is Christianity being so attacked these days, right? It's because I think that lie is not working for the monsters anymore. So they're building a new one now. It used to be sacrosanct, I believe is the word. And then suddenly, they're throwing priests in jail in Canada, and they're, you can desecrate church, you can make fun of Christians, but you can't make fun of other religions, then you get in trouble. I mean, I don't want to go down a different rabbit hole right now in the middle of this conversation, because this could take us in a whole other, 2 or 3 hour talk. But
definitely.
Yeah, but I feel, there's an opportunity for us to get strong. There's an opportunity for us to grow. There's an opportunity for us to understand ourselves and our consciousness. There's so many ways that you can do that, whether it's your children or yourself or nature. Go outside, look at a tree, go outside, maybe don't look to the humans for your next answer. Maybe look to a bird, maybe look to a child, maybe look to the wind, maybe look to a dog that's eternally loving. I'm not sure, look at something that's not, looking like us, that has a different idea of what it is, that's maybe not so compromised. It's helped me. I've allowed nature to talk to me. I've allowed animals, dogs, babies, other people. It really is infinite, as infinite as you are, as to how you can be. And then you get to make some actions, and you get to see what brings you to where you need to be in life, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, nature is abundant. All you need to do is look at a piece of fruit and understand that every seed in that piece of fruit is another tree covered in fruit, and all of that fruit has seeds in it, and those blah, 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 right? I mean, it's ridiculously abundant, to the point that we probably couldn't eat everything that nature provides. So that's where we need to go back. We need to get away from this process stuff, obviously, but in the end, freedom is a choice. But it's also it's the choice to do work on yourself. It's not a choice as in, oh, I'm free now. No, it's a choice to step sideways and say, look, I'm more than what they tell me. I know I am. And so I'm going to look into that. I'm going to, spend some time with myself, spend some time in nature, listen to other perspectives, get my own viewpoint, because, these people who give us our perspective of life are not good people. So why would you listen to them or want to be like them? So freedom is really having the courage, the courage and the strength inside to say, I'll step outside the circle. If everyone laughs at me, well, they laugh at me. If they don't believe me, well, they don't believe me. And people, guys, not everyone's going to believe you. You can pick any topic you want. It doesn't have to be, outside the mainstream, anything. And there'll be haters. There'll be people who say that's not true. So why let anything limit you? Just find your truth, walk that path. Don't push it on people. If people ask you, then cool, let them know. But freedom and being free is a journey. It's not a destination.
Definitely.
And it's really a decision to be brave. Who am I? What do I stand for? And do I really stand for it? I mean, ask yourself that. Do I really stand for these things I believe, that I preach, that I say I believe in? Or is it just more of me wanting to fit a script, wanting to insert myself into a group? Because so many people do that. They don't have they can't find their own beliefs, or they don't, excuse me, have the courage to pursue their own beliefs. So they find a group and they just say, okay, I'll believe what you do, and strength in numbers. Doesn't matter if I'm wrong, I feel safe. Guys, safety is restriction. You've got to get out there, put yourself out there, take a risk, or nothing will ever happen.
Nobody's safe. We all know where we're going in the end, right? Everyone leaves. So, we didn't come into this life to be safe, because automatically we're born to die, let's say, of this body anyways, right? So automatically you can't be safe. That's the illusion. And I also want to say is I love having friends. I love talking to other men that are strong. I also wanted to have that community that, Campbell mentioned, and I tried looking for it and never really worked out until I decided I want, I live with hippies in BC, I traveled to with hippies in Mexico. I tried making my own community with one person or many over the years. And, because I wanted to fit in, I wanted to believe strength in numbers, etc. And it wasn't until I took a stand and I was ready to be alone, and I decided to make this kind of a movement my passion and my life and my livelihood, which is what I'm doing full time now, as is Campbell, that I got to meet people like Campbell, who's becoming a friend. I got to meet people like Julian Rose, who's in England, who's becoming a friend. I've met people that were in the same province as me in BC that I never met when I lived there for 10 years, who's becoming a friend and an inspiration. Your community will find you. It's you that has to find yourself first. It's not the other way around. Don't look for your community first. Look for yourself. Find yourself, and the rest will follow suit, because that's the way the law of attraction really works. You attract what you are, right? Not exactly what you're thinking about all the time. Although, because if you're thinking about fears and you are fierce, you attract them. If you're a hero, you'll attract heroic people. If you're loving, you'll attract loving people. Give what you would like, and it'll come back to you. You give it and not by giving $10 and expecting $10 back, because inside you're expecting someone to give you something back, because that's not altruism in its true sense. If you're loving and you don't care that anything comes back to you, the world will show you in kind. It always has for me.
Definitely.
And there's people here. That's the other thing. You don't need to be lonely, even though maybe you need to be alone. I'm setting up a system. I talked with Campbell about it. We have our new now Agora marketplace meeting place. It's ready to go. It's almost coded. We're going to be able to have a system where people can come. So far, it's once a month meeting where you'll be able to interact with people. If anybody has any questions or suggestions, I don't want to talk about it here too much, send me an email. I'll help you out and discuss how you can join. I met Campbell by calling him originally, sending me an email saying, hey, I love what you're doing. Let's chat. And here we are. We're on our 6th chat, 7th chat. I don't know. I stopped counting. And so many people even today have met me saying, I like the information. An old couple in Ontario, kind of trying to change things there, said, I love that, what you shared. Let's become friends. And they just called me out of the blue this morning. I've had ex-Marines from the United States give me a call, whose grandfather was a Black Panther, realizing what's going on in life. His name's even Geronimo. It's funny. He's got an Indian. And how did he contact me? in the middle of a bad neighborhood in California. No idea. But he went to my website, said, I love what you're sharing. Let's chat. And so for me, having been a little boy and watching people like the Black Panthers, like I said, I'm going to share like the imagination of how things work. I'm going, well, that's cool. I remember I'm talking to this guy and going, well, this is cool. His father's a Black Panther. You know, he's talking about, you know, giving it to the man. And he was obviously, you know, a man of not pale color, it sounded like to me. But, you know, for me, you know, hearing that kind of other manly energy of wanting to stand up and grow a pair and be that stands for their community and realizes it's up to them to keep the monsters away, however they decide to do it. Campbell's doing it in his way. I'm doing it my way. This fellow wanted to do it in a different way. That's why there's so many of us here, right? You know, it's a beautiful community that will find itself. You just have to be worthy of it. And I don't want to sound all highfalutin, but that just means you have to be, you know, freeing yourself on the inside, and then you'll find a community that's all about freedom.
And that'd be a great topic. I'd love to get onto that too in the future, the whole sort of masculinity thing.
I'm ready.
But yeah, I just to finish with, I just want to sort of say that, you know, Lorenzo's done it now, and you might know I've got YouTube channels now. You know, the hardest thing I had on this path that I had to get over was understanding that there's not anyone here that wants exactly what I want. So as far as going forward and doing what I want and becoming who I want and creating what I want, there's no one. You can't rely on anyone, guys. And this is the thing. So many people spend their lives and it's like, oh, if only I had this person to help me. If only I had this person to help me. That's the biggest step. You need to get to a point where you understand, look, it's me. That's it. It's just me. I'm the only one with this vision. I need to do it. And what happens is people think, oh, that's so scary. You know, how can I do it on my own? You're not going to do it on your own. You just have to take the first steps on your own. And if you're brave enough to do that and you have the courage to do that on your own, and in the power that I am on my own, and I'm not doing this because people will join me later. I'm doing it because I have the power to do it. As soon as you do that, people appear from everywhere. Like Lorenzo, like he said, he's in Japan. I'm in Perth, Australia. There's no way in the world we would have ever run into each other unless I started making videos and he set up a website.
Never.
And to do that, we both had to step out. You know, the kind of information we're doing, you know, we're putting ourselves out there, you know. Obviously, people, you know, hunt us, people like us down just to abuse us. But we don't care. Who cares? Who cares what other people say? They're not going to stop us. So that's the main thing that I found in really, really changing my perspective and really getting me down that path and really starting to move forward is understand you have to do it on your own. Well, you have to take the first steps on your own, but you know, it's your creativity. It's your vision. No one else has got it. So you got to take the steps on your own.
And you can build.
Like I said, when you do that, people will come and join you.
Yeah, and it's like I get to be a superhero. Like I'm in Japan, 99.9% of people wear masks because for them, it's a no-brainer. They used to do it anyways. In the cold seasons, they were an easy sell here. So everyone did it anyways, you know.
Yeah. But
I don't, for the most part, right? And so I get to feel like I'm that superhero. And I'm walking around an entire world of people wearing masks, and I'm not. You know, and it's strange, and it used to get me angry, but then, you know, and so at one point I would put it on, but then I realized, you know, I see little kids here being put in masks as well. So I said, you know, they need an example. You know, their parents maybe have masks, your teachers have masks, the people on the TV. I'm going to be that example. You know, even though people look at me funny, even though people may give me the hairy eyeball every now and again, or I make it weird feelings, because I know those children could use a hero to look at. And isn't it interesting that all I have to do to be the hero I always dreamed I could be when I was 4 is to walk up to another 4-year-old now and give them a funny smile, you know, or open my mouth wide to show them what it's like to breathe when, you know, maybe other people aren't. I'm not telling anybody anything, you know, I'm not complaining or yelling or asking anyone to change. I'm just being myself in the middle of this nonsense. And I'll tell you, the birds love it. The world loves it. My life is good. Sun will come out and shine on me when it's a cloudy day. Someone will laugh. I was in a shopping mall, and this is one last story I'll leave you with this, and everyone's wearing masks, especially in the malls. And I had a feeling, and there was this huge escalator where you go up and you go down And my wife, who's Japanese, wears masks because, you know, she feels more comfortable that way in public. And, you know, I was just going up. And then as I was coming down, another fellow, the opposite side, who also wasn't wearing a mask.
No mask.
And the Japanese are very reserved people. He high-fived me. This guy out of nowhere. I've never met him. He's going down. I'm going up. We high-five each other. And how did that happen? Who knows? You know, you couldn't have imagined, but that's the magic that tells me.
And why did it happen?
Right.
And this is the thing. Like, who was watching that then went, oh, I'm not wearing a mask tomorrow. I want to be like those cool dudes.
Right. So, you know, I'm not forcing, I'm not fighting, I'm not telling anybody. The only one I'm fighting is myself to be brave enough to follow my own heart and what I would like to do and how to be in my life. And that's, you know, what man doesn't want to do that? Come on.
That's all we can really do.
Come on.
Anything else is just a sham, really. Can only be yourself. There you guys, be the change you want to see.
Exactly. Yay. Well, maybe we'll leave it here then. Be the change you want to see. Be a man. I'd love to have another chat with you, Campbell, on that very manly stuff. And then maybe we'll do one after that on the monsters inside. Yeah. And we'll see how to grow ourselves strong and share it with all of you folks. I am delighted you're here. I will share Campbell's information below for all his three of his channels, Autodidactic, Instant Karma, and Spiral Up are the three that he has. He's busier than I can imagine making videos every day. I have just the one, but we'll put it all here. And if anybody has any suggestions or recommendations or questions or contacts or ideas for either of us, feel free to leave it below. I'll make sure Campbell gets it if you leave it here. And I love you all very much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. All right.
Stay awesome, guys.
Anything to leave our readers with? Stay awesome. That's beautiful.
Stay awesome. Look inside yourself because there's greatness in there.
Exactly. I love you all very much. Thanks for being here. Talk to you soon.
Can't make me lie to my heart. No one tells me where I should start. Freedom first is what I say.